Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Manga Reviews to a Chaos Red Pokemon Randomizer. We are, as I hit the Pokedex button, we are back with Gumi, Noodles, Noah, and Mido, and today we're going to be talking about the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask manga. So I'm just going to be very straight with it. This is probably going to be, yeah, I probably should have figured that she would see me. This is going to be a more somber episode because, well, Majora's Mask has a lot of themes of death and loss, and it's just strewn throughout the story, and that's also part of the manga as well. So I'm still want to talk about it because it was a really good story. But if you're having a rough time, please consider skipping this episode till a better day. Because I've been around long enough that I've lost some loved ones of requests. Oh man, you gotta love me doing this live. But I've lost some loved ones of the generation up and 2 generations up for me and my family, so I understand that if you don't want to hear about grief this episode, you shouldn't have to. So please go take care of yourself and have a good day. But that being said, Majora's... Oof. That hurt. So Majora's Mask by Akira Himekawa is a really it is kind of part 3 to Ocarina of Time. It is following the same exact link as very much implied in the games as you go through as Link goes through the land of Termina. And it's very the pace is that of the manga is much faster than the pace of the game. Now the Majora's Mask feels like it's a slow game with the moon looming overhead. Oh yeah, and I do want to preface, like, I've seen all of the gameplay of Majora's Mask, but I have not played it myself. I do want, not that super matters as I'm playing a Chaos Fire Red randomizer, but just as a point of reference. But the manga pace is faster than the game, I guess, as just is with the oh, that reset's actually crazy because now I can go this way. Mostly I'm just trying to get to Mount Moon, really, because I think it's going to be more interesting than just grinding through these trainers. But because in the game you pretty much repeat the 3-day cycle a whole lot. There's just a lot of pretty much you reset the 3-day cycle every time to get through the dungeons, where there's only one reset in the manga. So the pace is faster, and rather than focusing on it focuses a lot on the themes of the four people who have passed, being the Deku Scrub, who is the son of the butler in Deku King's palace, Darmani, and then I forgot what he had, but I don't know if it matters because of the randomizer, and Mikau, and I guess those are the 3 main masks that of where of the characters who pass. But also, like, from Zelda theories, it's like, is Link dead in Majora's Mask? And also because Ikana Valley is almost entirely skipped to focus on Anju and Cafe, who are two, I guess. For those who are unfamiliar with Majora's Mask, there are 2 characters who are in love and engaged in the story. However, the villain of this one, who is Skull Kid being possessed by the demon Majora, is it turns basically ages Cafe down into a child. Shoot. And Cafe is afraid to go show his face to Anju because he's very upset that that is a level 17 Kakuna. That's actually much scarier in this randomizer because it might know something that's not hardened, like Ice Ball. There we go, though. Yay, Noah grew to level 7. So the focus on them makes sense because it's one of the most iconic side quests. Ooh, are we gonna? Yes, Giga Drain is a bug type move. I don't think we need Sand Attack. Noodles, I think, has garbage physical attack, which sucks, but it's good to know about that. So the Akana Valley, which is huge Tower of Babel vibes, if you are unfamiliar with it, is mostly skipped to focus on the Anju and Cafe plot, where Cafe is aged down into a kid by Skull Kid, and is then and is afraid to face his fiance because well, he's a child. He was an adult, and now he is unable to. He feels like he's unable to meet her and marry her, and he really is upset and doesn't want her to see him like that, which is understandable for someone who just went through the trauma of being turned into a kid. So, and that plot is really that plot is focused on more because, like I said, it's one of the most iconic side quests in all of Zelda, where you basically have to go get in game. You have to go get the wedding mask, and yeah, you have to go get his wedding mask, and it's actually required to do if you want to obtain the Mask of the Fierce Deity, which actually is given to Link at the end of the manga. But in the manga, Link goes through the overview of Majora's Mask. So you're in a location called Termina, and I forgot to even explain how Link got to Termina. So Link gets to. So in the manga, we actually start off with Link just having a little bit of a side adventure, meeting some soldiers and practicing some training, and he's frustrated that no one recognizes him as the hero of Hyrule. And because he's also just a kid at this point, even though he's gone through all of the adventures of the first game. Let's see. You can be Ingo from Ingo's Ranch in because we're just in all of the Zelda themes today. Let's see, we're gonna actually let's have Mido get some experience. And so Link is traveling around and he's frustrated, and he has to use the Ocarina of Time to kind of show and prove who he is, even though he is still the hero of time and has all of his skills from the original manga. And as consistent with the game lore, Navi is missing, and Link is going to go off and go find her. So it is a nice little slow introduction, being like, as Link is the hero of time, and is going to go rescue his friend, and he's going to go search the Lost Woods, which is actually very perilous because in the bonus stories from in the Ocarina of Time and also in game, there is heck yeah, we've got a Porygon. We are going to call you Pinocchio. So now we have. So Link is going into the Lost Woods, which is again very. So if kids who get lost in the Lost Woods end up getting basically being turned into Skull Kids and that's wonderful. And adults who get lost in the Lost Woods get turned into Stalfos, which are the skeletons, Ganon's skeleton soldiers. So it is pretty rough if you get lost in the Lost Woods. So with that in mind, Link isn't thinking of that, but Link ends up going into the woods to go find Navi, even though it's very, very dangerous, and we as the readers know that. But Link runs into Skull Kid, who has stolen the Happy Mask salesman's mask of Majora's mask. I love Mawile. Well, we'll see if Mawile lives to get part of the. Oof. That's a very interesting way to do that. Why is Shadow Ball effective? Well, Mido's getting experience. But yeah, so Skull Kid has basically stolen a demon-possessed mask from the Happy Mask salesman, who knows way more about this mask than one who is, you would think that he would take better care of it, knowing that it is a demon-possessed mask, and it has the power to call down the moon and destroy all of Clocktown. So one would think that the Happy Mask salesman would be taking better care of this, but he doesn't, and it is all Skull Kids, and he and his two fairies, Tattle and Tail, basically knock Link off of Epona and steal the Ocarina of Time, and then Link falls down a gigantic hole and is basically stuck in the land of Termina and gets turned into a Deku scrub before his first venture into Clocktown. And in the games, like, the cutscene into the masks is just like brutal in terms of, because like you are really truly putting on a mask made of someone's dead corpse. Because in-game you use the Song of Healing that you get from the Happy Mask salesman after the first cycle to like put the spirit to rest, and then you get a mask and you pretty much just turn into the person who passed. So the Deku Scrub, Darmani, or Mikau. So it is very. This is a heavy story, and it's hard to explain all of it because, especially with the time loop thing, everything just happens pretty much simultaneously in universe. That was not a very effective Giga Drain. But Weezing's special normal attack is pretty bad. Self-destruct. You know what? Self-destruct is better than just meditate, so we'll get rid of meditate. And since this isn't a Nuzlocke, I can just explode on something and not actually feel super bad about it. Let's see if we get a... Nope, we're going to get another Pokemon. We're going to get a Tentacool. Can you take on a Tentacool? But yeah, so Link is... Oof. So Link first makes his way into Clock Town, which is also, like, I played Majora's Mask when I was very young, and I was stuck in Clock Town for all of the days and never figured out that you could escape through the sewers to go get outside, see the moon, and then get the stuff you needed to go back to the Clock Tower and reclaim the Ocarina of Time. But as a Deku Scrub, Link first runs into Anju, who is waiting for Cafe, and it is just really, it's a nice, just like, touching scene. Like, I don't know how to describe this other than just like, it is heavy, but really enjoyable. Because of, like, you're immediately hit with the thing of just Cafe is missing, the moon is looming over Clock Town, and it's just, yeah, the tone of Majora's Mask is just, yeah. I'm just looking at the timer and going, wow, I'm a ways into this and I have barely touched any of the plot. And as always, the art style of these manga is just spot on. It's really good, and the art style is very consistent with what we saw from Ocarina of Time. So I guess because I know that some of the later ones do have different art styles, because I think, like, with Phantom Hourglass, and then later on, like, the Twilight Princess manga, just like the style of the games and the style of the art, excuse me, changes. Let's try Dizzy Punch. So, and Link is also just, like, feeling out of place, because, like, he's missing Epona, because when Skull Kid mugged him for the Ocarina, Epona got lost, and yeah, it's just, and it's brutal, and Tail ends up getting left behind by Tattle and Skull Kid. So, and Tail wants to go find her brother, who is just kind of committing to the no one can mess with me. I'm the one in control. Look what I can do. And it is the scene of him. So the scene of Skull Kid just, like, bringing down the moon for the first time when Link gets the Ocarina is a little bit strange, because it's like the Skull Kid taunts him. Let's see, you get to be Anna, as in the Fire Emblem Anna, who likes money and gemstones. So Link ends up seeing the moon fall a couple of times, and before calling upon the goddess of time, and then using his Deku Scrub abilities to relieve Skull Kid of the ocarina, and then playing the Song of Time to go back to the beginning of Clocktown. And we kind of just ignored the Song of Healing in this one. And in the... It's very heavily implied that Termina is a land forsaken by the three goddesses of Ocarina of Time, being Din, Pharaoh, and Nehru. So the fourth goddess, Hylia, the goddess of time, being worshipped here is all of the themes are just so interesting. And then you would think that, like, with the Akana Valley Temple, which is not covered in the manga, but I still think is really interesting and themed to discuss, is being the Tower of Babel. As you climb up the tower, get a song that you I forget whether it's a song or if it's light arrows or something, but you invert the temple and then effectively you climb down, and the boss is through the roof section of the inverted temple, kind of implying that you climbed all the way up into hell. It is quite the game. So, and that could probably have been in like an entire manga in itself. So they stuck with the theme of like following the deceased characters. And first Link goes to Woodfall Temple and helps out the animals who are being blamed for the water being poisoned, when it is actually Odalwa, who is the one who sealed one of the four giants, is the cause of the poison effects of the water. And Link frees the Deku Scrub princess, who was in love with the deceased Deku Scrub, and this is the first implication that the masks are all deceased beings from the Zelda universe. And yeah, and of course, like the king in the let's see, what are your... Okay, that's pretty good. We'll let Ingo have a go. But when the king was just like absolutely bonkers and was about to burn forest animals at the stake, and that was intense. I think it's also pretty accurate to what was going on in the games, but it was still really intense. I guess Sludge Bomb still poisons even if it's not poison. That was a crit? Jeez. Alright, Noodles, you're getting in here. But yeah, and then it's really in the next chapter when Link goes to the mountaintop and finds Darmani, who on screen dies. I say on screen because I'm playing games, but like in the page, lost the battle with Goat and then died in the cold and the snow, and Link uses his ocarina to give him rest and peace. And then Link returns to the Goron village to let his nephew know, who missed him tremendously, that to tell him to be strong. And it's very sad, but I have to go take care of some business after I go defeat the monster at the top of the mountain. So this is just wow. And then Link goes and using Darmani's strength, defeats Goat and frees the second giant. And the giants are also in the middle of this, saying like, forgive you, like doing quiet whisperings, which eventually lead up to forgive your friend, which is actually pretty crazy because like that could also mean Navi being gone, and not just the Skull Kid, their friend, who just was very sad and then tried to get the mask and put it on, and then well, got possessed by a demon. Alright, so Ingo's level 8. Just gonna keep Gumi up front, because actually, if False Swipe is really strong... Okay, no, False Swipe is literally just its normal self. Ooh. I almost got jump scared there because I did not want to fight that guy. Where was I? But yeah, so Link defeats. So the giants, the twofold meaning of what the giants are saying, which could be implied to Link forgive Navi for being absent, because we don't even know how Navi disappeared. It's just that Navi is gone. So it could have been Navi was taken, Navi just was never summoned by the Deku Tree, Navi ran away. Like, it could be entirely anything. And Link is just on his own, so it could be talking about forgiving Navi. And which is also in itself really sad. And then we jump over to Mikau, who is dying on the beach because he was fatally wounded by Gerudo pirates, who stole his I don't know if lover might be the wrong term for it, but is one of the fellow band members, Lulu, that he was in, was singing. I think it was their egg, but I could be misremembering. And basically, so she had a Zora egg, lost her voice, and then had the egg kidnapped, and now the egg is going to die if kept away from the proper care. So he's going to go rescue Lulu's child and dies, and Link plays for him on the beach, and then has to go rescue the egg. And then in lighthearted stuff to keep with the stealth, how the stealth section of Majora's Mask worked with the Gerudo pirates. Link uses bees to distract the Gerudo warriors because they yeah. And then Link goes and defeats the demon fish, and Lulu gets her voice back. And so it's just so it was so well done for what I would say is a young reader manga, of handling those themes of like death, loss, and just like having to move on and keep going. And which is just, it's refreshing that it was handled really, really well. And I appreciate that, and it's like that it was able to, like, you want to keep reading even though it's sad. So and then we skip over Arcana Valley because that could be its own book, minus Link just fighting Twin Mold, which again is perfectly fine, because going through, I probably took several minutes going through the lore of Arcana, like the lore of Arcana Valley, in this specifically just the Stone Tower Temple, let alone all of the death around it in the actual valley. So keeping things contained to the main three, masks makes sense. And then we go to Anju and Cafe. And again, this is a quest that I'd say if you got the Fierce Deity mask, you had to do, because to get the Fierce Deity mask in Majora's Mask, you had to get all of the other, like every single other mask in the entire game. So to and Anju and Kafei's quest of like getting married like as the moon is falling is just like, yeah, it's not as crazy as, oh no, I set it up for Solar Beam. Okay, fire is not effective. I guess let's just try steel. Also not effective. Does Doom Desire... You know what? I think I'm just gonna not fight Kangaskhan. So Link runs into... So Link remembers what happened from the previous cycle, but Anju doesn't. And again, it's more of the memory thing. So Link's there on like day 3, and he is trying to help Anju because he just feels terrible. And he's also looking for Kafei, and Kafei ends up coming in and like trying to leave a note, and Link sees him and runs away. But Kafei still has some of his strength from when he was an adult, and Kafei still has all of his memories from when he was an adult. So that and so Link realizes, so after sorting things out and also hearing the tale of the 4 giants from Anju's grandmother, Link and Kafei actually both go to the top of the clock tower to face Skull Kid, and which again doesn't happen in game, but it's fitting because Kafei wants to confront Skull Kid to try and get himself turned back into an adult, and Tail actually goes and tells Anju, and Anju meets them pretty much like as the moon is has almost fallen, and at the last moment, of course, like after causing some mayhem, Skull Kid, the 4 giants appear and stop the stop the moon. And then at this point, it like Majora and Skull Kid become kind of separate entities, and Majora just hands Link the Fierce Deity mask before he goes into the moon, and Link puts on the Fierce Deity mask and becomes Fierce Deity. Whoa! And embodies the spirit of the Fierce Deity. And he is very much no nonsense. Instead of like all of the crazy moon game stuff, it is just like one and done. Link goes into the moon, finds the kids with the masks, destroys the masks, and then is immediately fighting Majora, who's very just, I would say, chaotic and like naive, self-centered spirit of just like Majora just wanting to like dance and play and just be in control of like that the world is theirs. And then Link defeats him, which is very fitting into the chaoticness of the actual boss fight, and why Link gets the Fierce Deity mask actually kind of makes sense, because there's a bonus story at the afterwards that is like a 1 chapter one that kind of shows the origin of Majora's mask, and that actually makes a lot of this it makes sense on why Link is just given the mask rather than it being earned through all of the other stuff, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But Link defeats Majora as fierce deity Link, the mask is then returned to the happy mask salesman, but I think Link is still fierce deity Link at the time and is just like leave this land. And the mask salesman pretty much like as a supernatural entity just kind of like disappears into the ether, and Anju and Cafe have a gorgeous wedding scene, and Link and Skull Kid part ways as friends as Link continues his journey to find Navi, which is left unresolved as done in the game, which is kind of just like a very sad tone. And also Termina is just a random place in the hole in the woods. Like, there's so much stuff on like theory work on whether or not Link has died, and like whether or not, or if he becomes the Astolfo's hero in Twilight Princess, because he's turned into a Astolfos because he was lost in the woods. So all of it is just crazy theory stuff. So Link then kind of just goes off into the distance, and yeah. And then we get the bonus chapter of kind of how Majora's Mask was made. There's like a dragon-like spirit entity in a frozen time land that a wanderer comes to. And this wanderer, and the wanderer kind of looks a little bit like not like an elderly aged, but like an aged version of like a 25, 30, like very seasoned traveler. And the beast is explaining that his armor can potentially... Did I miss the actual move tutors, or are they not? Or were they... Oh, they're there. Maybe I can get something. Now, does your dialogue change? Sure, let's see if I can... If it's actually Mega Punch, and... Wait, Noah already learns this one. What is Razor Leaf? Sure, let's get rid of Fire Spin. Alright, good job, Noodles. And so the monster explains that his armor can grant wishes, like Majora's Mask itself was said to have been able to grant wishes, and the Skull Kids took the mask in order to try and, yes, we will see if we can learn by. But so this monster pretty much is so Skull Kid took Majora's Mask in order to have his wishes fulfilled, and thus the monster having armor that grants wishes, a lot of people have come seeking it, and he says to the traveler that he's eaten them all. However, the traveler is just being very passive and not aggressive, even though looks like he's very clearly ready to fight. And then the traveler asks the dragon monster, "How long have you been here?" And then the monster explains that no time passes in that place. So the traveler takes out his drums and plays music for the monster, and then after 3 days of dancing, the monster dies, and the traveler carves Majora's Mask from its armor and saying, "Here, you can rest now in peace and in darkness," and he just kind of like casts off the mask, which then later gets picked up by the happy mask salesman. So it makes sense that this effectively godlike being that is very self-preserving of people coming to take its power, and then is just very, I don't know, just like with energetic with it, with the dancing, and just in the symbolism of Majora's Mask is why this episode is as long as it is, but that, like, it makes it really fitting of also to of why Link is just handed the fierce deity mask, and that's because it effectively the spirit, what one could assume is the spirit of the beast, wanted someone to play, wanted someone to fight. And as Majora said, come play with me, as in the hand, but whoever comes is playing tag needs to wear this mask to be it, and it's the fierce deity mask. So with that, it makes sense that this very self-centered worldview monster who has the power to grant wishes, and it looks down on those who try and seek its power, becomes Majora. And so, all in all, outstanding novel, visual novel, outstanding conclusion to the Ocarina of Time into Majora's Mask saga. It's sad that we don't really know what becomes of Link, especially because that he and Zelda had a really good relationship throughout the Ocarina of Time manga. Yeah, I think at this point, as I'm wrapping up, just in the Pokemon Center, that it's just it's one hell of a story, especially after reading the first ones and just knowing grief. So yeah, I would of the rating scale, I would say if you really like Majora's Mask, like the game and all of the tones, this is one that I would be like, buy it, support the authors. I'm like, you don't have to, obviously, and there's not like a commission thing or anything. Like, Nintendo's not telling me to review these manga, but this is one that I would say is like, it's more than just read it. It's nice to have it, and also just to be able to like go through and just experience again, and then talk. I don't know, and then just like talk more about the themes, because there's so many side quests in Majora's Mask that make it feel so unique and memorable, that the manga just has not a ton to cover, because like Majora's Mask is a full-blown Zelda game, like not as many dungeons as Ocarina of Time, but both of them were released around the same time as the N64. Ocarina of Time got 2 whole manga volumes, and Majora's Mask got 1. So there was a lot of like things in the game left unexplored in the manga, but it was still just a very coherent, cohesive, and even though it's a sad story, one that is just like, it feels good to have read it. So thank you all for watching and listening to me talk about manga while playing Pokemon. I hope all of you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I hope you've been enjoying the series, and that I hope to see you in the next video. See ya!